Games where you grab a gun and blast an assortment of baddies into bloody corpses continues to be the world's leading video game genre, and every year hundreds of first and third-person shooters flood the market, inhibiting numerous subgenres in varying quality. As it happens though, 2024 has been a stellar year for shooting games. This year, shooters have brought much-needed freshness to the table, whilst an onslaught of online cooperative and so-called boomer shooters have provided entertainment in their droves. This year's list was tough to compile, but there's a fantastic selection here, shooters which will appeal to everyone. Furthermore, this list is ranked from 15 to 1 from good to great. The First Ascendant. Kicking things off with free-to-play third-person looter shooter The First Ascendant, this cooperative RPG tasks teams of up to 4 with saving humanity from a string of hostile invaders. It harbors everything you could ever want in a modern-day shooter: flashy gunplay, intricate visuals, and a varied cast of colorful characters, each with unique skills and capabilities. However, there are problems in its frustratingly slow progression, non-existent story, and atrocious balancing. Sort these issues out, and The First Ascendant could achieve some longevity in what is becoming an increasingly challenging domain. Arizona Sunshine Remake. Hot on the heels of last year's brilliant Arizona Sunshine 2 is this graphically revamped version of its 2016 predecessor. And whilst it's true Arizona Sunshine Remake is closer to a remaster than the rebuild as advertised, this dazzling VR shooter does at least include the reload mechanic introduced in Arizona Sunshine 2, whereby you whip out an expired magazine, stuff in a new one, and cock the chamber back in an endlessly satisfying motion. The shooting and visceral gore feels and looks fantastic too, of course. Arizona Sunshine Remake is an easy recommendation for anyone looking to get a zombie exploding fix. Mech Warrior 5 Clans. Take on the role of a freshly graduated mech pilot and battle for humanity's savior in Mech Warrior 5 Clans, and immediately apparent from any gameplay you might have seen is clans harbor some suitably substantial combat, balancing gargantuan heft with surprising intricacy. Mechs come fully customizable with cutting-edge technology and a profound wealth of firepower, affording pilots a choice of tactical and strategic possibilities. Another surprising element is developer Piranha Gaming's willingness to tackle the grayscale morality of war in Mech Warrior 5's narrative, with honor, sacrifice, and the nature of soldiers' responsibility all themes that are explored on a galactic scale. Echo Point Nova. On paper, Echo Point Nova reads like a hot mess. You're a super soldier wielding an array of futuristic blasters. You use grapple hooks and hoverboards to get about, and you're battling across a fractured planet comprising floating islands in their hundreds. Doom meets Titanfall may be a simpler way to frame it, but regardless, a few minutes invested in Echo Point Nova's maximalist approach to gunplay will have you craving more. Hoverboarding up walls, zipping over enemies, slow-mo curling round to zap them in their temples before grappling to a ledge to whip out your sniper rifle before popping yet more enemies from afar sounds like it should be convoluted, but Greylock Studio somehow meld all this together seamlessly. Echo Point Nova is one of the coolest, most unusual shooters released this year. Celico. Being created in the aging GZ Doom game engine hasn't hampered Celico in the slightest. Wildly inventive, destructibility, thrilling set pieces, and a weighty arsenal that delivers a satisfying thump with every pull of the trigger elevate the early access Celico to one of the most exciting shooters released this year. This isn't a Doom-like boomer shooter either, oh no, not at all. Celico forces you to be strategic, oftentimes demanding you scramble into cover before unloading your magazine. And with powerful upgradable weaponry and a world steeped in complex lore, you'll soon realize Celico is more akin to Half-Life 2 than its run-and-gun gameplay would have you believe. The Forever Winter. A hostile co-op survival shooter, in the Forever Winter, staying alive is really only half the battle. There are numerous brutal mechanics embedded into the experience. For instance, revealing the full inventory of fallen corpses takes time, mimicking the act of rifling through their pockets. Water, the game's most precious commodity, spoils in storage whether you log it into the game or not. Treacherously shooting your allies to snag whatever paltry loot you found for yourself is met with disdain amongst fellow scavenging traders. Firing bullets at your enemies acts as a spotlight, alerting others en masse to your location. Using guns is usually a last resort here, the act of hyper-surveying the war-torn battleground a more sensible method of reaching extraction. The Forever Winter is foreboding and grim, the harshest environment of any shooter appearing on this rundown. I Am Your Beast. Fast, frenetic run-and-gun shooter I Am Your Beast is a short-lived revenge thriller whereby you assume command of government assassin Alphonse Harding after he finally objects to undertaking one last job 6 years into his retirement. Refusing this final mission sets in motion a vicious manhunt. A forest full of carbon copy soldiers Harding reduces to bloody mulch via a blend of skillful parkour and sharp shooting. El Paso Everywhere devs Strange Scaffold are the team behind this one, and they state superbly that I Am Your Beast replicates a He's in the Walls power fantasy replete with Harding's superhuman capability. There's a surprisingly emotional narrative threading through the game too, giving weight to the lightning-fast action. Kill Knight. Paying homage to the neon-soaked arcades of yesteryear is rip-roaring twin-stick shooter Kill Knight, and whilst visually its bullet hell arenas look overly stylized, the game harbors a deceptively deep combat system. When choosing loadouts, specific weapons tied to refilling health and ammo must be considered. Additionally, Kill Knight's reload mechanics require timely application of specific button presses to absorb material or increase bullet damage, demanding brain power within the kaleidoscopic carnage. Once Human. This open-world survival shooter has been overshadowed by Helldivers 2 for sure, but sink your teeth into Once Human and, despite its server resetting drawbacks, you'll find a compelling experience supported by an array of ultra-imaginative monster designs. See, the thing here is Once Human's alien infestation doesn't just pollute the ground you walk on, it can actually transform any living or inanimate object into phantasmagorical Lovecraftian creations. Think school buses with tendrils, molten traffic cones for heads, trees with claws, and yeah, you get the idea. Surviving in this strange world is tough, but the worry that anything can suddenly kill you takes things to another level. Marvel Rivals. Now, it's easy to judge Marvel Rivals on its boardroom-ordained box ticking. Yes, it's an overly polished Overwatch clone seemingly created exclusively to leverage the Marvel brand, but strip those prejudgments away and what you've got is a well-crafted hero shooter, exceptionally presented and remarkably, given its million-strong player base, silky smooth server performance. It's a given that the character roster is varied, but an edge NetEase games have capitalized on is how teaming up specific superheroes releases passive skills and new abilities, exemplifying their kinship in Marvel lore. Mullet Madjack. High-octane arcade action here, a miasma of dopamine and gore. Mullet Madjack gives you 10 seconds of life, with time replenishing after every gruesome kill. However, this gimmick is only the slightest of distractions. The game's fast pace means you're consistently just a flash away from blasting your next foe into mincemeat. There's a roguelite element to progression here as well, with over 50 power-ups to collect that'll render each bloody murder more addictive than the last. Rounding out the features are timeless and endless modes. Mullet Madjack is a feast for the bloodthirsty. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. The long-awaited sequel to 2011's heavy-hitting originator has you assume command of Ultramarine Demetrian Titus once again, this time battling against a seemingly insurmountable Tyranid swarm. The Space Marine's superhuman capability shines through in Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2's intense bombastic action, whereby hole-ripping guns, flesh-tearing blades, and brutally heavy hammers are the ingredients in a visceral bloody cocktail. Endlessly replayable PvE and PvP missions in up to 3-player co-op round out one of the best third-person shooters to emerge in years. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. Blending the philosophical sci-fi of Soviet-era novella Roadside Picnic and Andrei Tarkovsky's spellbinding movie interpretation with the real-life mythos of Chernobyl's world-changing nuclear meltdown is perhaps the most long-awaited FPS ever to see the light of day. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is a veritable buffet of hostile environments, deadly opponents, nasty firefights, and cosmic anomalies, an engaging world steeped in lore and intrigue underpinned by choice-based narratives and emergent gameplay. Heart of Chernobyl truly does have it all, with GSC Game World melding all of its elements together superbly, despite the challenging development period which has seen the studio overcome office fires, leaks, cyber attacks, and a war in their native Ukraine. Destiny 2 The Final Shape. A shoe-in for the most successful gas FPS, Destiny 2 developers Bungie deserve credit for keeping their magical sci-fi shooter in the zeitgeist, even though it's now 7 years out from its original release. The fact Destiny 2 keeps getting better is testament to their passion and dedication, an achievement gobbled up en masse by the game's rabid player base. June's colossal expansion, The Final Shape, is the conclusion to Destiny 2's Light and Darkness saga, and alongside an engaging narrative whereby the Guardian and the Vanguard desperately attempt to thwart the Witness's attempts to destroy all life in the universe, new super abilities for light subclasses were added, plus the new Prismatic subclass. Fresh weaponry, new free roam area, the Pale Heart, new PvE environments, missions, and PvP maps, a new raid, and the series' first ever 12-player PvE activity make The Final Shape the greatest expansion in Destiny's history. Helldivers 2. I mean, come on, it had to be this, didn't it? Not just one of the smash hits of 2024 is Helldivers 2, but it's arguably the greatest co-op shooter since Left 4 Dead. Yes, the basic premise is to team up with up to 3 fellow soldiers, choose a planet, kill stuff, secure areas, collect some things, extract into space, buy some upgrades, rinse and repeat, but the way all of this activity so commonplace is in other shooters coalesces uniquely here is thanks to developer Arrowhead's attention to detail. The game's meaty arsenal of shotguns, SMGs, and assault rifles feel immense to fire, and their capability to pulverize whatever foe finds itself in your crosshairs into visceral mulch of guts and goo is nothing short of intoxicating. Thanks to the game's intelligent difficulty scaling, firefights are routinely edge-of-your-seat encounters, the satisfaction in you and your squad scraping to survive a never-ending boon. This is ludicrous sci-fi bombast befitting of its Starship Troopers inspiration, a gameplay loop fostering a feeling of continual franticness preceding fist-pumping success. Now, if there is one shooter to play this year, it's without question Helldivers 2. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.